They do complain in the sense that
They can complain, but they shouldn't. So you can be rich too, or you can behave like rich people as well when it comes to managing your own money.
they are thinking or misthinking that they are running the country. That's not the truth, is it?
That's not true, and they have only one vote.
Yeah. Welcome to episode number 5 of Money Biceps, a podcast where we ask questions what everyone is thinking about. And are you thinking if the middle class in India bear the burden of all taxes while the rich get to keep all their money? Through hard facts and real stories, we will discuss the so-called business deductions, tax loopholes, and if the tax system is really fair to everyone. And to discuss this, we have Mr. Senthil Iyer, a SEBI registered investment advisor and founder of the company Horus Wealth and Wellness. Welcome, Senthil.
Thank you so much, Nikhil. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Same here, same here. So, Senthil, most middle class in India nowadays fall in the 30% tax bracket. This is due to the rising income since the last few years. Do you think the rich also pay a proportional income tax like the salaried middle class in India?
Everyone has to pay taxes. Income tax is a direct tax, and GST and other incidental taxes which are there, those are indirect taxes. So every human being, based on their consumption, they actually pay the indirect taxes by default. As far as income is concerned, there are certain slabs which are given to individuals. All right?
Yeah.
So based on those slabs, they pay differential amounts of taxes. But once you cross that threshold, you end up paying the maximum marginal rate of taxation.
Understood. However, there is a conception, it may be or may not be true, among the middle class that the whole burden is on us. The rich get certain deductions, maybe depreciation and some other things.
Instead of calling them as rich, I would say businessmen tend to get deductions on their expenditure, whereas for salaried people, the tax deduction happens at source.
Yeah.
So there is no expenses that they can get deductions from, and with the rollout of the new tax regime, there is no scope whatsoever that is left as far as deductions are concerned. But commensurately, to kind of balance that off, the rate of taxation has been reduced.
So when we talk about this expense claiming to take tax deductions, do you not think it is unfair on the part of middle class that they don't get any such thing, whereas the rich or the businessman get a huge of it? I mean, anything can be an expense or shown as an expense.
No, it is fundamentally appropriate for any businessman to get the benefit of expenses, because there are specific expenses that businessmen make which are directly connected to the business that they are doing.
Okay.
For instance, if I'm conducting a business out of an office, the office rent is something which I'm incurring because I have this business to run.
Yeah.
So it is but natural that that expense is allowed to be claimed from my income. I'm not making it as my pure income. But as far as a salaried person is concerned, almost everything that he or she earns is a salary, is income for them.
Yeah.
The basic expenditure that one incurs is in terms of traveling from home to office and back.
Yeah.
So standard deduction of 75,000 per annum takes care of all of those expenditures. So they cannot complain actually.
Well, they do complain in the sense that
They can complain, but they shouldn't.
So can you say that the rich get richer and yet get to save more taxes?
It is very unfair. Again, you are referring to them as rich. I would rather, refer to them as business people. And everyone has an opportunity to become a business person.
Okay.
If somebody is choosing the security and safety of a salary, then might as well face the consequences.
Okay, so possibly this is a myth that the rich or the businesses don't really pay taxes.
Okay, what if I tell you the rich actually pay more taxes than they should be?
Okay, is it?
Yeah.
And how is it?
Unlike popular notion. And in fact, the real problem with most people who are in the direct income of salary or, mainly salary income, the grouse is that they have no chance of reducing their tax liability. Okay. But whereas businessmen get that additional opportunity.
Yeah.
All right. However, you need to understand that a business house, typical, let's say a company, a public limited company, they end up paying almost 2 times the tax that they should be paying.
Okay.
I'll give you a simple example.
Yeah.
Okay, if I'm the owner of a public limited company, my entire profits, of course, after deducting the business expenditure, which include the salary to these people and to the employees, and the rentals and the plant maintenance and all of the host of expenses which are there directly connected to the business, they are deducted first, and whatever that net income, net profit after the expenditure is taxed at a flat rate. They don't even get that slab structure advantage. There is no exemption up to 12 lakhs and all of that.
Okay.
It's a straightforward slab rate of 25%, 30% that they have to pay.
Corporate tax,
Corporate tax. All right.
Okay.
Now comes the real stuff. Whatever that net profit is after paying the taxes.
Okay.
As a shareholder of the company might give me some dividends. Let's say I'm the owner of the company. I hold 50% of the stocks of the company. Okay. So on those 50% of the stocks, the company pays me a dividend.
Yeah.
Now this dividend is supposed to be shown in my personal income tax as income from other sources. And if I happen to fall in the 30% bracket, I've already paid 25% from the business, and remaining 75% that I earn as dividend, I have to pay another 30% as my own tax, personal income tax. This is the most unfair thing that can happen to anyone, and that happens to a businessman.
So you just busted a myth that I had, at least. Senthil, are there any other myths that commoners have where they think that they are paying more and more taxes?
So in order to avoid this kind of conundrum is when business people, they say that, okay, I will not take any salary. I will not take any direct benefits. I would rather take, or I would say, I would take benefits from the company rather than take any direct income.
Okay.
So whatever hotel stays that they have, whatever cars they buy, everything is bought in the business name. So because everything is now shown as expenses from the business. So that's how they somehow kind of reduce that tax burden a little bit. Otherwise, they would end up paying, if they're absolutely truthful and honest and straightforward, they would end up paying half of the money as taxes.
Okay, and all these stories which are heard by the middle class, the salaried people, they tend to think that the system is doing a lot of injustice on them.
So the underlying emotion over here is envy.
To possibly become an entrepreneur or businessman?
That's always a better choice. But you have to take that plunge in good faith, and also you have to do a lot of study. You have to fail. You have to be willing to fail and face those consequences first before emerging victorious.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Senthil, what I have heard is the big businesses, they pledge their shares with banks, with financial institutes. They take loans, and that is the way for them to expand their business or do big acquisitions. And this in turn results in more and more tax saving. Do you think this is true?
How does it amount to tax saving? See, the idea is whatever income a business generates, they're already paying tax on it.
Okay.
And by mistake, if they actually shell out some dividend to their shareholders, that also gets taxed in the individual person's name. So where are they saving taxes? I really don't understand.
So what I mean is, instead of giving their own money, which is like unrealized gain, they are using someone else's money. In fact, our money of common man.
So that is nothing but a smart way of utilizing the various heads of income under income tax.
Okay.
So when it comes to a capital asset, when the capital asset grows in value, so for instance the shares, only when I book the profits, I need to pay tax on it.
True.
This is applicable not only for a businessman, it is applicable for all those salaried people also who would invest in shares.
Yeah.
Or even mutual funds for that matter. Okay.
Yeah.
So all of those investments grow in value. Only when you book the profits, you end up paying the capital gain tax.
Yeah.
Now, the businessmen have a different take on it. They don't want to book their profits.
Yeah.
Instead, it can be offered as a collateral for taking a loan.
Okay.
So while the stocks keep growing, okay, so let's say the stocks are expected, they know the inside information as to what rate the company is going to grow. So let's say they expect the company to grow at say 15-20% every year.
Yeah.
They don't mind paying 8 or 9% as interest to the bank. But the banks would need some collateral.
Yeah.
All right. So they offer their own shares as collateral with the bank, and the bank loans them the money.
Okay. Let me think from a common man's perspective. Do you think this is unethical or unfair on their part?
No, it is more fair. Why? Because it is the common man's money that is there with the banks.
Huh?
which the rich people or the so-called rich people or business people are borrowing, against which the common man is earning the interest.
Okay.
If the businesses don't borrow from the banks, how would the banks be able to give interest to the FDs put in by the common man?
This is a totally different angle of finance that I am hearing, possibly most of you too. There's a school of thought that says income tax should be abolished. Instead, let everyone pay indirect taxes. Because anyways, people think that they are paying higher income taxes. Let us abolish the income tax, make everyone pay the indirect tax like GST or any other, and fill the tax loopholes so that the revenue is not impacted. What is your take on this?
So, are you okay with business houses also not paying the income tax?
Possibly yes.
If that is the case, then there will be huge loss of revenue for the government.
Okay.
See, direct taxes are applicable for all types of entities. Individual is one of the entities.
Okay.
All right. Then you have companies, partnership firms, LLPs, HUFs. So there are so many different types of entities which are taxed slightly differently. But all of them are subject to income tax.
Okay.
So if you abolish income tax, you cannot abolish income tax only for individuals or only for HUFs or only for companies. You have to. It should be a blanket abolition, right?
Absolutely.
I'm for it actually.
Okay.
But where would the government find their funding from?
Possibly slightly increase the indirect taxes. There are tax loopholes, bridge that.
That's what. So proper implementation of GST is one positive step towards that. But can we abolish income tax? I'm not sure because it almost contributes to say half of the revenue.
Okay.
Especially the corporate income tax.
Okay.
If the 140 crore people in India, how many people? 85 crore people. So anyway, they are living under the 5 kilo ration. So that leaves us with some 40 crore, 50 crore people.
Okay.
Out of that, 40% are unemployed.
So let us talk on the pain points of these 4-5 crore people who are filing returns, they are paying income tax, and maybe they are thinking or misthinking that they are running the country. That's not the true, is it?
That's not true, and they have only one vote.
Yeah. Also, Senthil, what I have seen is governments across the world are in deficit. They don't even have money to pay salaries of their employees. And still, the same government is giving a lot of tax concession to large businesses. And then there are these special economic zones which do create employment, but they are getting tax breaks for almost 10 years. Do you think this is fair on the part of governments to give such tax breaks? What is the logic behind this?
So the logic is hidden in what you asked itself. The question itself carries the answer.
Yeah.
Twofold answer. The first one is the governments are not able to pay salaries to their own employees. Why is it so?
They are spending more money towards the welfare of people and hence they don't have money?
They don't have the money, right?
Yes.
So can they create more employment? If they're not able to sustain their own employee strength right now, can they create more employment?
They are giving VRS. No, they cannot.
They cannot. So who will create that employment?
Possibly private sector.
So if the private sector is, taxed heavily, then would the private sector be interested in coming into the business?
No.
So how do you encourage them to start the business and create more employment to people?
So this is like a give and take relationship between a government and the businesses?
Yeah, it has to be. That helping hand needs to come from the government in order to ensure that thousands and lakhs of jobs are created. It may not be the primary purpose of a business to create employment. The primary purpose of any business should be to generate profits.
Yes.
Okay, but they cannot do it without creating sufficient employment.
So just because the government cannot create jobs, the private sector can, and hence the government awards the private sector by giving these certain tax concessions.
That's right.
Senthil, do you think this is really ethical on part of the private sectors to ask such concessions just because they are not really here to create jobs, they are here for profits, but in turn they ask concessions just because they can create jobs?
So it's instead of saying it as a concession, you can call it as an incentive. So without those incentives, let's say 5 business houses are ready to start business in India.
Yeah.
But with those incentives, let's say 100 business houses are ready to start in India. What would you prefer if you were the head of the state?
Okay. So just because government is not able to create jobs, so can we say that they have outsourced this task to the private sector?
You can say that, but there's no need to explicitly say that. This is what happens across the globe.
Okay.
and it's a fair thing to be happening. The only challenge is if those concessions are handed out to a select few people, then it becomes a problem. Then you are not creating a fair competition or healthy competition in the market.
Yeah.
So like the monopolies and duopolies, we recently encountered the Indigo crisis.
Yeah.
All right. Why the Indigo crisis? Why they are resorting to strong arm tactics? Why they are saying that, okay, if you bring in these new laws, we are going to suspend all the flights. So they were playing, right? They are playing the government.
Yes, sir.
And who is suffering? The public at large is suffering.
Yes.
So go back 10 years. How many airline companies did we have?
Many, almost.
There were more than a dozen companies who were actively flying in the Indian airspace.
Yeah.
So slowly what happened? It got reduced to a duopoly. Now only Air India and Indigo together have more than 90% market share.
Yeah. So this consolidation is also not good for any.
It's definitely not a good thing. And do you think it has happened without the people in the government knowing about it?
Absolutely not. Government knows everything.
Exactly. So things get really bad when a few business entities are favored over the others. And such duopoly or monopoly gets created in the market.
Yeah.
Except for that, everything else is ethical, legal, and it is an important incentive to invite businesses to get started in the country.
Okay. And then Senthil, I have a point which you can't deny now. In the last decade, public sector banks have written off a loan of 12 lakh crores. And most of this loan was not of people like you and me. They were given to big businesses which did not repay it. Is that not unfair on part of the taxpayers now?
It is definitely unfair, and that should have been checked by the public sector banks themselves. Now, another reason why there shouldn't be any public sector banks. Had they been private sector banks, they would have at least done a little more scrutiny in order to ensure that they don't make losses. But public sector banks, mere baap ka kya jata hai? They keep doling out money without appropriate collateral. Now, even Elon Musk, when he bought Twitter, he actually had to pledge his own company shares, right? Tesla shares, he had to actually pledge in order to get the money to buy Twitter, right?
Yes.
So what is the kind of collateral that these people are taking from business houses? So in the Kingfisher case, the entire real assets that they could capture was only to the tune of maybe 300, 400 crores.
And they got a loan of thousands of crores.
Thousands of crores, 7,000 crore, 8,000 crore, 10,000 crore.
Yeah.
So the public sector banks are not scrutinizing enough. They are scrutinizing an individual's case.
Yeah.
If you apply for a loan with SBI, maybe you have to kind of run from pillar to post, maybe for over 2 or 3 months in order to get a loan. And that too with 100% collateral of your own home.
Yeah.
But all of these business houses, they are being favored, and your money, which is lying in the bank,
Yeah.
is being loaned out, and later on 12 lakh crores of loans are being written off.
Yes.
So had this money been there, you could have used it for so many welfare schemes to be run.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Obviously, this money is not owned by the government. I'm just saying that the quantum of money that is being written off, that would have been sufficient to run a rural employment guarantee scheme for maybe at least 3 or 4 years, or more than that. So I'm in full agreement with you as far as this point is concerned. But the fault lies with the banks themselves and the employees of that bank. Does that clarify?
Yes, it does. It does.
Okay.
I get a very common question from a lot of my clients, you as well, that can we form a HUF to save taxes? Do you think this is fair on their part?
See, fundamentally, an HUF is about handling ancestral properties. It's Hindu undivided family.
Yeah.
So a family tree starts from one person,
Yeah.
goes down to their children and so on and so forth. So from any one individual, we can have an undivided family setup coming up.
Okay.
All right, it's a family tree that comes up.
Yeah.
All right? So if you say, I have acquired certain asset myself of my own effort, and I put it under HUF, so that the income from the HUF will be treated separately under the taxation laws. Do you think that is fair?
As per me, it's not, but
Or is it ethical as well?
Okay, you caught me red-handed. Possibly a lot of people who are watching this podcast, if you are buying the property from your own income, it cannot be called an HUF.
Exactly, it cannot be put under an HUF, strictly legally speaking and ethically speaking as well. So, how do people need to utilize the HUF idea? Is when they inherit properties from their parents or in-laws, grandparents. Those assets can be put under an HUF.
Okay.
Okay, and then the income from those properties can be handled separately as a separate entity. And this also many people don't do. So that is because of lack of awareness or education related to tax laws.
Yeah. So to conclude, Senthil, what is that one thing that the middle class, this salaried class, can learn from the businesses who play this tax and money games, or they use leverage to their advantage? What can the middle class learn?
We keep harping on the term leverage and pledging shares and all of that.
Yeah.
All of this can be done by an individual also. If I have not my own company shares, let's say I have invested in a lot of company shares, let's say I have those shares with me.
Yeah.
I can take a loan against those shares also.
Okay.
To invest more into the stock market or to buy other companies' shares. And it's a scaled down version of what Elon Musk would do, pledging his own shares to buy Twitter.
Okay.
For that matter.
Yeah. So if this is something that you did not knew, possibly take as a learning from this podcast. You can always.
And there's one more thing.
Yeah.
You are already practicing it.
Is it?
Yes. There are people who I know who take a loan against property to buy another property.
Okay.
So what are they doing actually? Loan against property means what? You're pledging your asset.
Yeah.
Now the asset is not in the form of shares, but in the form of real estate. You're pledging that, taking a loan against that, you're buying another property.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with it? So if that can be done for the real estate asset class, why can't it be done for the equity asset class?
Absolutely. That is a smart thing that we can advocate as financial advisors to.
But one word of caution to all of those people who do this.
Yeah.
Real estate doesn't grow at that kind of a superlative rate than the interest that you end up paying.
Yes.
So effectively, वो आपको महंगा पड़ता है.
Okay.
It ends up being more expensive for you. But that's not the case most likely with the stocks.
Okay. But I did like that pledging of shares idea, which can be leveraged to the fullest. To earn
And
more
again,
assets.
another word of caution.
Yeah.
Every share doesn't count to be an asset. You know, so you need to be aware of the fundamentals of the company, the strengths that they have, the long-term prospects of those companies. Only then you should be investing in those companies' shares, and then use it as collateral to buy shares of other companies.
Okay.
It needs to be a very well thought out and very well calculated decision. So you can be rich too, or you can behave like rich people as well when it comes to managing your own money.
Okay. And
That's the short message I want to give. Instead of being envious towards the rich,
yeah.
learn what they do and apply that in your own financial life. Maybe it's a scaled down version, but that's okay. You will be on the path towards becoming rich.
So today I have learned a lot of new things. A lot of my myths were busted. I'm sure this is true for you as well. So to conclude, let us not be envious towards rich. They do pay taxes. You are not the only person on whose shoulders the country resides. So thank you, Senthil. Thanks a lot for sharing this valuable knowledge. Thanks for busting those myths. Thanks for getting rid of the burden on my own shoulder as well. Thank you, Senthil.
That's a good conclusion. Thank you so much, Nikhil.
Thank you.
Yeah.